For all my Francophonic family. Hello, hello, family. So check on, I'm going to, hey, Eric. Eric, you always represent. Check on in. We're going to have a very interesting conversation as many things have been revealed over these last few days, rather than it was not an EMP, well, quote unquote, an EMP like you thought. It was some other things, and I told you, whenever it's code for something else. So check on in. I'll wait until we get to the 100 mark, which we're about to get there in a minute, 0.5. Ça va bien? So, yes, madness in the matrix. I said magic in the matrix. Yeah, a little bit of that too. It's madness in the matrix. So check on in. Come on in. You well rested, Cadillac? Yeah, you should be rested because you're observing some chaotic activity going on in the 404. Anyway, you got your coffee too, KDG? Okay. So listen, family. As you see, my topic, it's domestic violence and unilateral karma. One and the same right now. What does this mean? I always have a method to my thought patterns, method to the madness. If you're a hip hop head, you know what I mean, method to the madness. It is what you're starting to see out in the matrix right now, which is interesting because I'm going to liken it to what we discussed previously. You know my answer on a lot of things, but for those who are new, welcome to Florbrun's page. And if you don't know me, you will get an idea of my thought patterns, my sense of frequency, and my vibration. So listen, you've got a host of events going on that you're observing right now in the matrix. You have mass shootings happening perpetually actually it's been happening for the last month since the solar eclipse, to be honest. We have a level of domestic terrorism, quote unquote, domestic terrorism that is showing and rearing its head, and it is not what you think it is. Maybe you do know what it is. What I mean by unilateral karma and liken it to equal the domestic terrorism right now. What you're noting is with the Las Vegas mass shooting, quote unquote, I like to say this because remember, I am aware that there are other hands playing out right here. And sometimes what you deem to be reality is actually just a projected reality that is being broadcast to you to make you see or feel or be invoked to do certain things. Facts. Okay, so we have what I'll start with the Las Vegas madness, then we have the New York madness, then we have the Walmarts. There's a couple of Walmart madness. I'm talking about mass shootings, and then also you have this tragedy that happens at the church in Texas. If you note that many of the beings that they're quote unquote are doing this type of domestic terrorism are now no longer necessarily just what the United Snakes matrix likes to deem as melanin dominant terrorism. They usually have demonized those of Muslim or Islamic faith. So this time you're seeing a switch of the switch. Sometimes I can't talk. And what I mean by that is you are seeing what deems to be as non-melanin dominant males, which some of you call, white males, engaged in mass shootings, which is probably more so than anything in our history base. Mostly it's been, quote unquote, in the United States history, it's mostly been non-melanated males who generally do mass shootings. That's generally the consensus over the last couple of years. Just look at your census, it's nothing I'm making up. But the issue is here, this is something not what you think. This is, I have to go back to the tall white German, what's his name, Rudolph, the tall white, the crazy German, the tall white alien. He calls himself that. I'm not making this up. Some of you who are coming to this video may not know that, I am amongst those who are contactees and talk about the intel of ETs and aliens and contacted with galactic family and what have you. So some of you may be a little, because what's happening is that because all these type of activities are happening, people are going to different channels. So they're seeing people who are talking about something, but they may not know that I'm an ET contactee, and I bring in the aspects of what is associated with, usually, which is connected to that. Hold on. I have something in the oven. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, family. I'm sorry about that. So listen, okay, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I just made some spinach quiche. So for the little people, for later on. I like to cook early if I'm cooking at all. Anyway, so listen, so I would like to go back to the tall white German, crazy German. Big up to Rudolph from Germany, the tall white alien. He said this. Now listen, family, I'm about to give you some intel that's going to throw you for a loop. A while ago, the tall white alien called Rudolph of Germany had stated that prior to the pole shift, there would be a religious Armageddon, meaning that there would be a war started via religion angst, okay? This is something he stated. Many of you who don't follow Rudolph, a lot of us in the ET community who were part of that, the tall whites were the ones who gave that intel. Now that's a fact. He did that. I was looking for the video because I wanted to show you where it was. I can't because it was videos prior, and he probably stated it in between the videos, so I didn't see it. Look for the video, Oz, thank you. It's in one of the videos where he stated that it was going to be a religious Armageddon, just like he said that Trump was going to win. His intel is on point, and I told you, I verified that this being is who he states he's going to be. He's leaving a little bit of anonymity because I know him to be something else, but he is right on point with his intel. So let me go further. Let me come to now, today. What you're seeing, family, with these shootings is not what you think it is. This is a war on Christianity. The beings that are doing these sleeper cells, that are doing these mass shootings, this is a war against Christians. I never go with the religious factions, but this is a war against Christianity. That is why they went and did it at a very southern event in Las Vegas, with what you would consider to be a lot of southern people who are part of the Bible Belt. That shooting was those type of people that are from that sect of populace, meaning that these are people that generally Southern music and country music is usually synonymous with beings who listen to that, are usually synonymous of having some basic principles, Christian principles, and they usually come from a lot of the middle of America or the southern parts of America, and it is equated to the Bible Belt. That was the first attack. Then they attacked people on the west side, of Manhattan, which is a very I'd say a more upper class white. I say white. I call our beings lunars, but just for those who don't know what I'm talking about, lunars are just beings who are just lighter in complexion. They're what people call white people. That's what it is. Another attack against white people in on the west side of Manhattan. Then you have a shooting, which I personally, how I am about certain things, but babies were hurt in this one, and it's been validated that babies were hurt in this church. And I have a problem with anybody who's hurting the babies. There were some children, especially a 4-year-old who was in surgery. I think it was a 4-year-old who was still in surgery. This was, whether it's a false flag or not, it was verified there was a 4-year-old who was shot 4 times, and I'm not cool with that. That's a tragedy for any parent who has to go through that, who has a child. That is an atrocity. I'm not in alignment with that at all. But I'm digressing. The church was another attack on Christian-based beings. This war will be fought And it is a religious war that is being had right now, that is showing up as sleeper cells going in to nicks of the wood of the Bible Belt type people, Christianity. And because now, let's go back, okay? Let's go back. I got to pull you back because I just brought something into your line of awareness. Now I'm going to pull you back. Note that over the last 15 to 20 years, there has been an attack on Islam, on Muslim states and countries and people. That's why I say domestic violence is equated to unilateral karma. Listen to me, family. I need you to pull back because it's going to be, I want to give you, when I give you meat and potatoes, you know, that's only a saying. I don't agree with meat and potatoes, but I'm just saying, when I give you a little bit, I want to pull you back and let you know where my mindset is. For the last 15 to 20 years, there has been attack on Islamic states and countries and people. Now, if you don't know, there has been murders of women and children. Now, literally, many of you ignore it. Many of you don't look at the footage of what happens when, you know, you have drones that are not manned anymore, that are just remotely drones that are popping off in the Afghanistan and Pakistan, in parts of Kuwait at one time, in Iraq, unmanned drones that the United States has set forth in the war fields. I don't consider it a war because it's unfair and it's unbalanced. It's just slaughter. But let's just call it war because that's what the United States says it is. Setting drones, unmanned drones, and throwing bombs on homes and churches. Listen to me, mosques, homes, nursing homes, maternity, birthing centers, and killing not only the men that they were going after. Usually they never got them because sometimes, you know, some of these quote unquote terroristic groups would be under some of these hospitals thinking they would have safe havens, killing or if not maiming children, babies, pregnant women, and elders. Facts. If you looked at some of the footage that I've seen, when you see little babies with holes in their stomachs and their fathers holding their lifeless bodies, or when you see mothers who just lost their baby and they have shot wounds in their neck, or you see little children with one leg or maybe missing arms or limbs, or blackened faces where their eyes are missing and popped out. I'm keeping it real with you, family, because some of you don't want to see, you only want to see one truth, but you don't want to see where this unilateral karma is coming from. What you allow for another nation and another people will come back to you. Always. Do you understand me? When you uniformly demonize a people, and remember, women and children are not the ones doing domestic violence. Remember this. This is mostly males. When you go to other countries where these women have no way to protect themselves because they're in already a suppressive state, and you're bombing their mothers and children, and you don't give a shit who dies, this is what happens in your country. I'm very upset right now, and as you see, I'm very passionate because I'm pissed off that many of you allow for another group of people to be abused and killed and eugenics to occur in other countries, and then you're pissed off when our babies here are being damaged and killed in the same manner that you were okay with under certain regimes and political regimes in the United States of America. I'm very sorry. I'm very upset right now. I'm very upset that right now you have to go under your unilateral karma because many of you were okay with little brown boys getting killed and you didn't say anything about it. You were like, oh, those are just roaches. I don't really care about those little brown boys because they'll probably grow up to be, murderers or robbers or thugs or be in the jail where I have to pay taxes anyway, right? Many people said that about little brown boys that are being murdered and slayed daily for their organs. Please be realistic. What is going on right now is your unilateral karma. It is terrible. I do not agree with it, but I was not okay with you going to Iraq. I was not okay with you going to Afghanistan. I'm not okay with you going and killing little brown boys for their organs. I'm not okay if you were white, brown, green, in between. I'm not okay with murder in any which way. I'm not okay with war. I've never condoned it, and I've never thought it proper or righteous. Whether I was Islamic, whether I was Christian, whether I was Buddhist, whether I was a Mason, whether I was a pagan, I am not for murder in any way. Facts. So I am not in this pool to deal with the domestic unilateral karma that's coming for some of you. What is happening now, family, is you are starting to see karma come, unilateral karma. I don't want to have to give you definitions. Look up the word unilateral if you're having issues with my verbiage. Unilateral karma is coming for those who allotted for a group of people. I told you what you allow for people, whether verbally, whether mentally, spiritually, what have you, to be murdered and tragically killed. Now, mind you, it is mostly children, women, and elders who are most tragically murdered in a lot of these bombings that happen abroad. It is facts. If you look at any of the video, which they won't show you anymore, back in the days, in the 90s and so on, you would be able to see what happens to people in Afghanistan when a mother's sitting over her dead baby and her husband's head blown off and won't leave him because she's sad and she's tragically damaged for life. Then you wonder where these terrorist groups come from when you tragically allow people to have that mindset and see that their people are dead. No mother or father can sit and watch their child dead in the street, and you think that they're going to be sane after that. That's when you start terrorist groups. When you allow for these people to see their family members dead and murdered in such a heinous way. What do you think the child is going to grow up when they see their father's head blown off in the street for no reason, when he was just a merchant and he wasn't part of a cell group and he wasn't a terrorist? What do you think he's going to grow up to be? He's going to be bittered. He's already tragically traumatized. He will grow up to be the beings coming to the United States of America when he gets a chance and hurting or setting up these sleeper cells to do harm to the Christian facets who sat there and allowed this. I'm sorry, I'm upset. It's tragic. I'm heated because this should not happen, and it's happening because many sat idly and allowed another group of people with different complexions to sit and be harmed while they sat and ate in their comfortable homes with their comfortable incomes, not thinking that it would ever come back to them. What you allow for another group of people, white, black, green, in between, I don't care who it is, will come back to you and yours. It is a fact. What the United States of America is going to, what's happening to them right now is karma. There is personal karma. That's what we've accrued from doing negative things. You know, some of us do heinous things sometimes, including myself. I've done things that I've regretted, and I've paid for it. Usually my karma comes back pretty quickly. Then there is such thing as collective karma. When you have collective karma, it means that enough of a bigger group of people has a general consensus over a belief system that allots for you, either good or bad. It's not always bad. It could be collective karma, like the Amish, who are very good people generally. The Amish have good hearts. They during the slave civil war, they allotted for many of the slaves to go on their property and hid them so that they can go into Canada. They collectively accrued karma. That's why a lot of their land is still theirs. That's why they live pretty cohesively on their land. And that's what I'm talking about, collective karma. Now you have group of beings who have sat idly. Now, and I don't want to, we had this conversation a while ago. I'm heated, I need to calm down. We had this conversation a while ago. And I walk amongst many different circles. People who are lunar, people who are brown, people from Africa, people from the Caribbean, people from the Middle East. I'm grateful that I've been allotted to be amongst many different cultural people as friends, as family members who have come into my house and broke bread with my mother and father, and who have allotted me and mine to come into their homes. That is facts. So with me, you can't bring up she's a racist. You can't bring that up because I come from many different races of people myself, genetically, and I've sat amongst those who I consider to this day to still be my family members who look very different than myself. Facts. But there is a general consensus of belief system that has been held in Middle America by those who generally have a very Christian sect belief system that generally tend to be, that have, are not necessarily my complexion, who have sat idly and supported political systems going into other people's countries and murdering them. And I've sat in circles where people said, well, you know what? I'm going to use some questionable language. Those sand niggas deserve to die because they're just going to come and murder us. I've sat in circles, you already know I checked them, but I've sat in circles where people have called people for the Middle East sand niggers and say they deserve to die before they come here and kill their people. Do you hear when people say that? And I say to them, okay, so you consider them sand niggers. So do you think a baby or a mother who's pregnant or an elder who's raised 4 children deserves to die? They have no conversation after that. Because they can't, if they say yes, then they can't rationalize why they would feel like it's okay for a certain group of people to die. Okay, so they have these limited mindsets that they consider it justifiable for death for a group of people to secure or to make sure that they're safe. But there's no safety in universal karma. What you allow for another group of people, what you allow for another, will come home. This is an attack on Christianity right now. I don't care if you see lunar faces doing it, that's not who's really behind it. Do you listen to me? I don't care. I don't know if it's MK Ultra sleeper cells that are looking like they're white males. This is not about white males killing. Whoever's doing this, they're not white people. I'm being honest. It's something behind it. That's why I told you, smoke and mirrors. They may tell you that it's a white male doing it because they don't want you to know who's really behind the curtain. But there are others behind the curtain that are doing this. This is calculated. This is set up and is purposefully doing and attacking those of Christian faith from a particular gene pool. And it will continuously happen to start and kick off a world war. It is very tragic. And unfortunately for those who sat down and enjoyed their brandy at night and sat down and enjoyed their benefits from oil, from ciphering oil from other countries, you too have to pay for what you've done. It's so sad, though, that babies and mothers in churches have to be killed because you were complacent and how you were okay with harming another group of people so you could extradite their resources or take it. If they didn't give it to you rightfully, you wanted to get it anyway. Or you destroyed other people's countries and values so that you could feel comfortable in your cushy home with your white picket fence. It's very sad. I'm not okay with what happened at that church. That is wrong, and that's a punk way to get at people. What happened to those people at church? People were praying. Those are families in that church. There's no reason why they deserve to go anywhere. There should have been no babies and elders. If you hear the ages of the people, the babies in church, children in church, that's not okay. That's heinous. That's when I'm so passionate because, again, I know where it's coming from. I know why it's happening. But the same thing that you were okay with mothers, babies, and children being killed in other countries, now it's coming home to roost, and it is in your country. Europe has seen it. Our family in Europe tells me what goes down in Europe. Europe has already I told you, it was just going to be a trickling over effect when it was happening in Europe, and it would eventually, karma would come. Unilateral karma is coming to the United States of America. See why it took so long to come to the United States? It's because there's so much collective karma here from killing off my indigenous people here, from the Trail of Indians, from doing all the harmful things to the land here, to killing off the trees, deforestation, to create modern homes, from tampering with the water system and poisoning the water and the waterways. It was so much karma. That's why it took so long to come here. Now it's here at the beginning of a new cycle, right before the pole shift. So this is what the tall white alien Rudolph, big up to you, Rudolph, because he told everyone. When I heard him say it, I will tell you, family, I did not really believe him. When he said that there would be a religious war that kicks off right before the pole shift, I thought to myself, well, there's not really a war. I know there's an issue with people here, going after Islamic people. I knew that was the case. So I kind of thought it's not really a war, though, because they can't even fight back. It's unfair. It's like unmanned drones dropping stuff on homes and churches, mosques, and so it's not really a war. But when he said that, I didn't think that, but it's deeper than that. He was right on point, just like Trump. He was right on point. He's been on point ever since. This is a religious war, and they're coming after the Christians. And this has to do with how Christians had sat there idly and allotted, not all Christians. Now, I don't want to lump every Christian, because I know Christian people, listen, this is an attack on Christianity though, but I know many of Christians, to be honest, who don't agree with wars. They don't want anybody harmed. I know a lot of Christian people who are very peaceful. I'm talking about the middle America Christians who sit there and talk about brown people like dogs. They talk about people with brown complexions like dogs, and I've heard them say, and I've heard from our non-melanated sisters and brothers where they're sitting at their family tables and people are justifying all these little brown boys getting killed and shot in the street and say, well, good, it's another nigger off the street. That's what they say at their dinner tables. How appropriate is that? This is my own Lunars telling me this, that they've sat at dinner tables or collective meetings, and everyone in that circle, it could be 20 people to 100 people, agree with it for the most part, not everybody, but that is something that's happening. So this is an attack on Christianity. It is sad. It is very sad, and I don't agree with it, because no one deserves to be harmed and killed like that. I don't care, I don't really care about the semantics behind it or things like that. I'm pretty balanced in that way. But what you do to another group, I told you, and this is a conversation with people, I had more people saying more heinous complexion negativity to me, saying I was being racist by saying that there was going to be collective karma for what you do. Yes, you can't listen, you don't have to go there and kill people to not get the karma for it. If you agreed with it, and you signed and you voted for people who were in agreement with it, then darn Skippy, you're getting the remnants. Just like a man who's robbing a bank and his homie's outside with the car, he's the drive away, the guy who drives away. When they both get busted, does the guy in the car get away with anything? No, he gets time too for being accessory to a crime. You too will be accessory to a crime, because on a spiritual basis, you are okay collectively as people, Christians, who are okay with another group of people being killed, and it's mostly women, children, and elders. Do you understand me, family? If you look at the numbers, they don't want to tell you the numbers. It is women, children, and family that die in wars. It is not the males. And most of the so-called terrorists are hiding in the mountains where they can't even get them. This is what I'm talking about. The nonsensical, I feel sorry for some of you really racist bastards who sat there and allowed this karma to come to all your people unfairly. Because what is going to happen is that innocent people will die because of your nasty lack of spiritual and lack of empathy for others. You are going to hurt your own people who look like you because you are so demonic and hurtful and your thoughts and patterns that you're bringing it to innocent people on this home front. It's wrong. Now we have to see it play out. When you get me pissed off, I'm sorry. It took me a while. I don't like to curse or get upset like this, but I'm mad. I'm very mad that babies had to die in a church. These people had no weapons on them. How dare you? I don't care if this is a false flag or not. That baby was in a hospital getting surgery, a 4-year-old. That's disgusting. Who could do that? But you know who does that? Probably a man who saw his babies or his family being killed. That's who does things like this. Who sees their country that used to be beautiful and rich demolished by American soldiers. That's who does stuff like this. Y'all, and there are people who come to my video who say the most heinous things to me because I'm brown or copper, who say things to me who feel like my life is less valued because of my complexion. That is wrong. There is a price to pay for your thought patterns. I don't care if you come for me or not. You thinking that I'm lesser, you treating me like I'm lesser, and you hurting people and killing people who look like me is wrong. There is a debt you pay, and you're going to pay it now. It's terrible. You should have been nicer. You should have cared more. You should have been more empathetic. You should have stopped taking money and extraditing oil and resources from other countries. Now you ruined the country. You ruined it. Many of us have to leave here because of you demons coming here and doing this. Now you got babies dying in churches, mothers being killed. How dare you? got me pissed off. It's unnecessary. And this is how people learn spiritually. This is not a playground for the meek. This is a playground for the strong. This is what has to happen for those who don't want to wake up. This is the push. The purge is upon us. This is what happens. Now I got to drink coffee. I mean, some of you are concerned about me drinking coffee with things in it. When you have people around here who are sitting idly, sitting comfortably in their houses where they're okay while people's homes are being demolished, their countries, which were beautiful and resourceful and gorgeous, are now just stone and rocks and pummel. You're okay with that? And you call yourself humans? Who could be human? Who could be human and sit there idly when you know that majority of people being killed in the Middle East are brown women and children? Who could be human? You cannot be human and think that's okay. Because remember, if you think that they're roaches, remember, roaches come back and they come stronger and then they start to infest your whole life. That's what you're going to see. Making me make this darn video. Why do I care? Because there are babies involved. If you men want to go and fight amongst each other, be real men. Both sides. If you Islamics want to fight with the men. If you Christian males, lunar males want to fight with the brown people, do it with each other. Leave the women and children alone. We're not part of your dirty fight, your patriarchal whose balls are bigger. We're not part of that. Why don't you fight amongst each other? Leave us alone. Let us rear our children safely and with peace of mind. You got mothers right now who don't even want to live anymore because their baby's dying. I'm sick of you complacent beings sitting there eating your Cocoa Puffs. I know I always say that. Eating your stuff, eating all your dirty food, and sitting there watching the United States go over there and go to other people's countries and do dirt and harm. How dare you? How do you live with yourselves? You know how you live with yourselves? You're going to live in fear. You're going to live in fear like the same way you made them live in fear. You see what happens when you do dirty? When you do dirt, you get dirt. Now we got to sit in the country. You have to sit in the country because I already told you about me and mine. My family members, we've already bailed ship. I'm going down on another timeline. Y'all have to deal with this collectively. You created this mess. You're not going to be able to clean it up. What is it? The hen has come to roost. What is it? The roosters come to roost. Whatever your saying is. Lack of empathy for another means you're not human. I don't care what someone looks like. I don't care if they come from another religion. I don't care. Listen, if I see a little lunar baby in the street that's going to be harmed, you best believe I'm going to save that baby. If I see a little brown baby in the street that's going to be harmed, I best believe I'm going to save that little brown baby. If I see a little green baby in the street that's going to be harmed, I'm going to save that green baby. That's how I roll. I see people as people. And I do see colors. Because I know that it exists. If I see a red flower, it's a red flower. I like red flowers. If I see a yellow flower, it's a yellow flower. Stop saying you don't see color. You do see color. That's the most asinine statement in the world. I'm sick of people saying they don't see color. If you don't see color, I don't know what matrix you're living in. I see your color. I'm okay with your color. I like different colors, and I like variety. Stop saying it to people because we know what that means. It is a subliminal racist comment. It is. We see it, we hear it, stop saying it. I'm sick of people saying I don't see color. If you don't, I don't know what colorblind nation you're from. Stop it. It is a form of a subconscious conditioning racism that people have learned to say to make them seem like they're holier than God, that they're not prejudiced. Everybody has prejudice to a certain degree, everybody. People don't like me because I'm a little chunkier, that's a form of prejudice. People don't like me because my hair is a little straighter or a little. Oh, sorry, I'm sweating. Somebody said dogs don't see color. I'm sweating. I actually put the air on because I'm that heated. I'm sorry. No, there was a phone call on my phone. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm sorry for being upset. I'm sorry for being human. No, I'm not sorry for being human. I'm grateful I'm human. I'm grateful I'm a mother. I'm grateful that my parents, who came from an island, obscurity, have taught me and have shown me humanity. I'm grateful for that. What I'm not so happy about is everybody's lack of empathy, everybody's lack of love. Everybody doesn't care about each other because they look different, because they don't speak the same language, because they have a different faith. Humans are humans are humans. If you have no compassion for other humans, I question your species. I question that you have spirituality. If you're a Christian and you sat in the middle of middle America and watched every night CNN, because many of you do, and watched as they were bombing and terrorizing people in other countries, then this is what you've bestowed upon you and yours. You will leave your seed nothing because you took away from another's. Pissed off. I need to go pray. This is what I need. I'm upset. I don't want to hear anything about babies dying. Who does that? Pisses me off. Anyway. It's one of those days. It's a full moon. You already know the full moon's got me fired up. What you're seeing, family, is an attack on Christianity. Look, my crown chakra is shaking. You're seeing an attack on Christianity. It is what I call unilateral karma. What has been allotted for a group of people for the last over 20 years is now showing up. Saturn returned. And now when Saturn returns, remember we were in retrograde for a while with Saturn. As Saturn returns, all debts need to be paid. I made a video before and people call me a racist. It's not true, because there was debts to be paid. If I'm a racist, how come in the Congo when they do dirt, when brown people are hurting other brown people, it's the same difference. If you do dirt, you do dirt. This man apparently was a white male, he hurt other white males, it's still karma. It has nothing to do with that, but sometimes there are collective karma groups genetically who do harm or are okay with harm to other people, so then it shows up as complexion. Same similar complexions, that's all it is. It can change at any time based on agenda or religious facets or what have you. It's not always about complexions, but people utilize the complexion when there's a group of complexions that are okay and have a consensus on something based on conditioning or MK Ultra, or whatever. It's just a fact. So now you got Christians being attacked in churches when they don't have any weapons, which is a real punk move. It's wrong. It's not right. If you want to battle with people, go toe to toe with people who can bat you. I'm always okay with a warrior going at another warrior. I mean, that would be more feasible. I say if you're a man and you got issues with another man, you come at that man. You don't go and do some punk move and go for people who are in prayer, who are trying to get redemption or what have you, and hurt them. And then get babies and mix children. Who does that? Beasts. The same beasts who did it in Afghanistan too. I don't give you any credence either. I already talked about y'all. So everybody who did that in the Middle East or who was okay with or were party to it, you already know what I think of you. I'm talking about the new ones who are coming here, who are bringing, the karma from those allowing what happened there. I'm talking about y'all too. It's wrong on every level, but it is a part of karma. I want you to view this, family. I want you to see what happens when you do this. And this is the bigger form of karma, but it happens in our personal lives. Like if you ever sat there, and I'm going to give you a story that's not so flattering about myself. I remember being at a job in my youth. Not in my youth, I was a little older. I was at a French company, and I used to see a friend of mine. She was a close friend of mine that I met at the job. She used to see another girl in the hallway, and she used to go, the girl would be in the hallway, and she would just go at her like an animal. This is corporate America too. Go at her, like be mean to her and so on, and the girl would just be so defeatist. She would just sit to being defeatist. And I sat there. Listen to me, family. I'm telling you something about Flurbrone. That's why I could talk like this, because I've learned my lesson.
I sat there idly while my friend was being harmful and hurtful to another being. She never fought back, the girl. She just would put her head down, and I didn't understand. I asked my friend, why are you so mean to her? I don't like that effing so-and-so. I don't like her. She's disgusting or terrible. I was like, yeah, but she's not even fighting you back. Later on, the girl filed charges against my friend for doing it. And you know whose name was brought up? Listen to me, family. I was sitting there idly, didn't do anything to protect the girl. I didn't stand up for her. I didn't like it, but I checked my homegirl. Who do you think was brought up on when they came for my girlfriend? They fired her for harassment and abuse. Who do you think's name came up when it came to the boardroom when they asked if I saw that and I sat there and allowed that to happen? It was me. Okay? I didn't lose my job because they knew me, but do you see how I was brought in? And I did nothing for that girl. It was wrong. I was stuck in the deer in the headlight. I didn't feel party to my homegirl, but I felt maybe, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. It's nothing I felt, I've never seen anything about it. And later on from that incident, I made sure I would never silence his banter for injustice. I would never sit idly and allow another human being to be abused in front of me, to be chastised in front of me, or to be degraded in front of me. I made that promise to myself after the incident, because the incident was big. It was drawn out. I mean, courts were brought in. The girl was traumatized. She had to go to she was getting psychiatric help because she had to go to work every day. We were getting paid a lot of money. She had to go to work, so she had to get psychological help from being harassed from this other woman. And come to find out, family, I could blow the spot because I'm not friends with the girl who did it. I stopped being friends with her. Come to find out why she had so much venom with the other girl. This is keeping it real. She had a sexual affair with the girl, and she felt bad about herself. You see how projection happens? And I don't know what happened, why they stopped or what have you, but that's why she was so nasty to the other girls, like some sort of nasty venom that was in her. Maybe she felt a guilt for sleeping with her, having sex with her. I don't know. So I tell you that, and there were other things that I did in my youth. This is in my early 20s. Okay, so I tell you this all to say that I am not beyond karma. I am not beyond mistakes. I have done things that I am less than fond of. I have apologized to a host of people, and I probably will apologize to more people after this, for doing and sitting there idly while another being is being harmed and degraded and ruined. It was wrong. I did learn my lesson. I can say that now. And like I said, I've made a conscious decision as an adult to never allow for another woman or a person or a man or a woman to be degraded in my presence or outside of my presence, and never co-sign to it. Okay? And that's just one example of some of the things that I personally, so that's why I tell you, I'm not a teacher. I'm not sitting here as some sort of guru. I'm not channeling all day. I do drink coffee. Yes. So what? But all this to say is that we have to be better. And over these next couple years, previous to the pole shift, you are going to see karma and it's in its most phenomenal way. Do better, be better, make better choices. Many of you will be humbled. There will be people who come on this video, because they do it every time, who look opposition of me. They look different than me, and they feel invoked, and they feel negative about me because I'm saying things that will make them have to become more conscious. And many people don't want to do that. They prefer to be sleeping or eating their Cocoa Puffs, chilling out at the house, drinking warm brandy at night with their family members, living in a very, comfortable, secure world. Their world is non-comfortable, and there's zero security anymore. Do you understand me? The security is done, because you're not allowed other beings to feel secure in their homes with their families. So now you're done. You have no more security in the States. The country that was taken over and robbed and pillaged and people were murdered and genocide occurred is now going to roost what it's brought. This country was built on the damage and the harm of the indigenous, which I am one of. So now everything will be upon those ancestors and those beings who have led and been okay and been conducive to the type of heinousness that is happening worldwide. It has come home and it is showing its nasty head. And again, I tell you all this to say, if I see a lunar baby being hurt, I'm saving that lunar baby. If I see a lunar woman being hurt, I'm gonna save the lunar mother. If I see a lunar male being hurt, I'm gonna be an advocate for them. Because people have the tendency to say, well, if you're blowing spots of the others, it's not always going to be complexion issues. Remember, Dublin and Shannon in Ireland, who have different religious sects, have been fighting and warring for years, and they're of the same complexion, same genealogy, so stop it already. I'm not talking about racism. It just so happens that many of the things going on systematically globally happen to be placed on brown people of darker complexion. That is our last cycle. This is facts. Previous cycle was a little different. We're going into a new cycle, so now you're going to see the balancing of the pendulum. That's what you're going to see. And in order to balance it, if it was too far right, it's going to be going to the far left until it goes to the middle and properly gets to a proper homeostasis. The purge is upon us. What will you do? Will you sit idly and talk about another group of people? Or sit and watch the news and watch people and babies being hurt in another neighborhood because they're not living in yours? And laugh and hope that hopefully no more of them will be able to procreate and create babies so that you don't have to look at them and see what damage that colonialism has done to these indigenous people? What are you going to do? Or will you stand up, cleanse some of your karma on both sides, brown, white, yellow, green in between, and start taking a stand and allowing for some healing to happen, and maybe lend a helping hand and clean up shop from all the dastardly, disgusting deeds that have been done over the last century and a half? What are you going to do? Mother Earth is going to do her thing. She's cleansing. She's clearing off all of the dastardly bastards on her surface of her skin. You know, many of us who have chosen to be more balanced, who are in alignment with Mother Earth, we are going to be safe and in our own timelines where we are cohesive and living amongst each other with a sense of unity consciousness. Where are you going to be? Are you still going to be mad at people who look differently than you? And I'm talking to brown people too, because some of the brown people are hostile too. Some of you are hostile. Some of you are mad at white people and you don't even know them. I know some lunars, some European people who do some beautiful things for brown people. I do. And I know some brown people who do some beautiful things for lunars. I do. So what you gonna do? You gonna be mad? Not every lunar has done something dirty. It's not true. Not every brown person goes robbing and is poor. That's true. Okay, so start being a little more balanced. So I know I ranted. I'm sorry. Karma's upon us. The purge is here. Protect yourself, protect your family, watch the babies, you know, be good to each other, and it's just observe and try to stay out of the rain of the line of fire. That's all. And I love you all. And at the end of the day, I just made this video a little fired up because I heard about the little one that was harmed, and that sent me on a whirlwind. As you know, I love children. That's one thing that you know about Flurburn. If nothing else, you talk about me, drinking coffee, doing whatever. I have a love, and I'm grateful. I have a love for the babies, all children. And I think it's tragic that someone's baby has been shot like that. And you should think it's tragic too, whether you like white people or not. Whether you like brown people or not, that's not okay. You should never be okay with that. A mother has to cry at night because her baby may not come home. All right, so I'm gone. I have my little meltdown. I have it occasionally, and it's usually I'm invoked by children because we got to be better. Anyway, family, I'm gone. Be nice to other people. Start to take responsibility for your own lives and be self-aware. And if you're a Christian, pray for those who are dealing with the tragedy that happened at the church. And if you're not a Christian, send good prayers for the mothers who lost their babies. All right, I'm gone. I love you.